Today, we welcome back to the program Adam James, a licensed physical therapist of 14 years working in home health care, also a content creator known as Epistemic Crisis. Great to have you back on today. Always good to chat.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, we have to start with the failed prediction. It's last time you were on the program, you said you believe Trump has 2 to 4 months to live. That was January. That would put us at March or May. And of course, Trump is alive right now. Talk to us. That was a very controversial prediction. Many in the audience were shocked by it to some degree. And what do you think happened? Why were you wrong in that prediction?
Right. So I place the time frame roughly was based on life expectancy with frontotemporal dementia, which is approximately 10 to 12 years. Trump has shown symptoms of FTD going back over a decade. And it's wild how Jeffrey Epstein himself actually mentioned he was suspicious that Trump had dementia because of some of his behavior years ago from email communication. Um, but even public behavior uh, would suggest that you could put his emergence of symptoms that far back. So that would land roughly where my prediction was. Um, he's outlived that prediction, and I think I could chalk it up to he receives the best health care available to a human being. Um, for example, I'm pretty sure he has a history of stroke because of the weakness on the right side of his face and in his right arm and leg at times. Um, in the case of stroke, if you can catch a stroke early enough, you can stop it from progressing to something way more serious. They use a clot busting drug known as TPA if they're within a certain window of time. So, of course, anytime he would display any symptoms of stroke, he's going to get that intervention as soon as possible. The White House is basically a hospital step down unit. So he can receive whatever he needs as soon as he possibly could need it. So that's what I chalk it up to. But I think that based on his daily schedule that they post, like the roll call schedule that we all see, he's got 7 or 8 hours of nothing happening. They throttle his schedule so that a person who's actually very sick can handle it. So um, I still think he's very sick. My prediction did not come to pass, but um, all of the health conditions that I've suspected he has, I still stand by that. And I also stand by how the process to invoke the 25th Amendment has technically already begun with Congressman Jamie Raskin introducing legislation to create the other body as outlined in one of the sections of the 25th Amendment. It hasn't progressed any further than introduction, of course, because Republicans are the spawn of Satan, but that's where we're at.
You believe that Donald Trump has had a stroke, and one of the recent pieces of evidence, as you describe it, that you've pointed to is this very strange handshake that he had with the French president at the G7, where
Yeah.
it's hard to describe, but he looks sort of, and we'll put it up on the screen, he looks sort of disoriented, and it's kind of like a vertical handshake where Trump's hand, rather than being pointed horizontally, is pointed up and down. What
Yeah.
about that is notable to you?
So normally he loves to do this power move where he shakes the hand of a dignitary or a person that he's, set to meet with, and he holds their hand really tightly and he refuses to let go.
Yes, he plays the
And
sort of tug of war games.
that's right. But it's an intimidation tactic that is characteristic of a malignant narcissist. But normally when we see him do this, his elbow is at his side and his left shoulder is facing the camera. So he's able to accomplish what he does with no help from his right shoulder.
Hmm.
So now, when he's placed on Macron's right, he has to reach across his body, which involves the rotator cuff, the deltoids. We're getting a lot of shoulder flexion, horizontal adduction, and we also have to manipulate the hand. And we're talking about a limb that's been affected by a stroke. So
It's
I
a
think
more
the fact that he's
complex movement, in other words.
way more complex, he has to cross the midline
Hmm.
to get over there, which requires appropriate what we call scapulohumeral rhythm in the shoulder to achieve a forceful horizontal adduction across the midline and grasp an object or someone else's hand. So the position his body was in, the position Macron was in, it completely revealed how weak his right shoulder actually is from time to time.
You had a very interesting video commenting on your favorite left-handed Argentinian Jewish podcaster, me, being put on the media offender list by the White
Yes.
House. What was interesting about it is you seem to have come to the conclusion that the health coverage getting me on the list is indicative, as besides the Epstein files, it's
Yeah.
the issue that they are really sort of concerned about image management with. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. First of all, the idea that these, if I can just be, am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Okay. These pieces of shit in the White House that think they can intimidate members of the media by putting up some bullshit section of their website to enact fascist intimidation tactics. I want to say fuck all of it.
Mm,
That's how I feel about that. And
wow.
honestly, why the hell am I not on the list? You fucking cowards.
You're
Where the
asking
fuck
to
were
be on
y'all
the
when I'm
list, in
making
other
my
words.
videos?
Right.
Say again.
You're asking to be put on the list.
Hell yeah. Put my ass on the list. Goddamn. As Homelander famously said, let's light this candle.
Right.
Let's do this. Anyways, I was 11 out of 10 pissed off when I found out that the section of the website existed. And then, of course, that you were on it. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. Now, I mean, honestly, just on principle, they should put you on it otherwise because you're a pain in their ass.
Sure.
But of course, that's how we know we're on the right track. The way if you just look at the sheer volume of conversation or statement making they do on a particular subject, it tells you what they're most scared about.
Sure.
And this is what pathological, lying fascist regimes attempt to do. There is no war in Ba Sing Se. Stephen Chung tweets, "Oh, this president has so much energy. I've never seen." I'm like, well, that's bullshit. We automatically they gotta fire that guy. He's so fucking stupid. Like, why would you tweet that he's got more energy than anybody else in the administration? That automatically means the man can't wake the fuck up in the middle of the day. Like, we already know this. Like, every accusation is a confession, as we've always seen through both Trump terms.
We discussed this strange Father's Day post that Donald Trump made, where he posted a picture of a woman seemingly at Camp David during the Clinton presidency, is what we've been able to most likely determine. And he
Yeah.
said, "Great daughter, my honor." Now, there's a lot of speculation as to whether Donald Trump believes that that's one of his daughters. I mean, she's blonde, I guess we can say, or whether Donald Trump was referencing that the pictured woman, potentially Katsimatidis, I forget her first name, that she has a great daughter, or that it's a picture he saw at Camp David. Do you have some sense of whether that's a meaningful post that we can glean anything from?
No, I think it's a result of dementia. It's just another dementia symptom. He's at Camp David and he's reminiscing about a time where he felt so much more powerful. And I think at this point, again, the frontotemporal dementia lets the mask of the malignant narcissist slip. And so he will reach for, because of his subconscious fear, his flight response, he'll reach for something that is comforting, like decorating the White House to look like fucking Caesar's palace.
Right.
He's reminiscing about a time where um, he's hobnobbing with people that adore him, and he's so powerful, and he's outrunning every criminal act he's ever performed. And that's what I really think it was. Because, honestly, MAGA has been silent about that post. They don't know what to make of it. I saw Gunther Egelman like retweeted or reposted, and he was like, "Yeah, Happy Father's Day," or some bullshit. I'm like, they don't know what to think about this. They don't know what to think about this because they're sure as hell not going to say he's got dementia. But I don't think there's anything meaningful except for he has a deep fondness for this woman and her daughter.
Hmm.
And that is fucking creepy if you know anything about Donald Trump.
Trump's been doing more and more events seated, and there is reporting, not of course from the White House. The White House would deny it, but there's reporting that Donald Trump is struggling to stand now for long periods of time, and that this is why
Yeah.
he's often pictured, videoed sitting in the Oval Office. This has the secondary effect of making it easier to fall asleep, of course, which he has done multiple times in the Oval Office. What do you
Yeah.
make of that combination of things that we're observing?
Oh, they're trying to conserve his energy. What little energy, again, the talking point is this patient has more energy. He's up all night on, international flights or some bullshit. I'm like, yeah, he's sundowning. He has dementia. But they're trying to conserve what little energy he has because his energy level is progressively getting lower and lower.
Hmm.
And we saw when he had an international flight, you can't hide anything at G7 because it's not his venue.
Right.
Now you're forced to have him walk places on camera. And they're having him. We never see footage of him walking into the Oval for a press gaggle or some sort of executive order signing. By the time we see footage, the first bit of footage we see, he's already seated behind the desk. And they also can hide the amount of swelling in his feet and ankles when he's behind the desk. And they're also using that small replica of Air Force One next to his desk. It's at a slightly lower level. They're using that to his lateral to also shield him from any camera angle from the side.
You
So
think
it's
that's
all
deliberate, in other words. You think that that's a
100%,
calculation.
100% deliberate. He's reaching for people's hands to get up and down one step.
Yes.
Like for me, I see these. I just left an 87-year-old patient who fell and broke a hip, and I can tell you right now that that patient is physically stronger than Donald Trump.
Huh.
And I see it all. Trump is the type of patient I see day in and day out.
You correctly predicted. Not all of your predictions have been wrong. I want to be clear. We went to one that was wrong, but you did predict that Trump would fall asleep at the UFC event, which is
Yeah,
interesting because on the one hand, it was very late. And so it's sort of like, hey, I guess it's more likely at 1 a.m. than 1 p.m. But on the other hand, it's a very exciting thing, right? And it's sort of like
yes,
an adrenaline, especially people fighting. There's sort of like a visceral adrenaline response. He
yeah,
managed to sleep through it, which is quite interesting.
absolutely. Well, that's because his brain is disconnecting from uh, stimulus. Auditory, tactile, visual stimulus is not making its way to his reticular activation symptom and telling his brain, "Whoa, that's crazy." He in the clips where he fell asleep, sitting right next to Dana White, his
Yep.
best friend. Um, he falls. He's asleep. The fight intensifies. The crowd is roaring. We're talking about 5,000 people were there. Plenty enough to make enough noise. And he does not rouse back awake until Dana White turns and comments on the action in the fight. The lights. I mean, those lights are blinding. And none of that stimulus made it to him except for Dana White's voice. And that's indicative of a brain that's shrinking inside of his skull.
We are continuing to follow the content that Adam James creates under the name Epistemic Crisis. He's a licensed physical therapist of 14 years. He works in home health care. Adam, always great to talk to you.
Thanks for having me, buddy.